Australian and you love basketball, those highlights, you just get a little bit of goosebumps watching the best of Paddy Mills. Welcome back to Nothing But Net, presented by Amy, and we're very fortunate to be joined by the man himself, Paddy Mills. Not often we get to speak to you, Paddy. It's always a pleasure when we do so. We appreciate the time during the NBA season.
Yeah, of course, mate. Thanks for having me.
So last off-season, I know you've spoken about this a lot, and I don't think that we perhaps appreciate the stuff that you guys go through as professional athletes, whether it is always being on the move, different situations, the schedule that you go through. Have you had time now, a few months in as the NBA season rolls on, to break down what went down last off-season, from 3 trades in 10 days to the World Cup and everything in between?
Yeah, I guess. Look, I think there's a lot of stuff that was seen from a public eye point of view, but at the end of the day, it was pretty straightforward, and how it was delivered. To me, essentially, it was from Brooklyn straight to Atlanta. I think the thing for me was in the middle of the World Cup with the Boomers, and my focus was there anyway. So it was a good distraction away from what was going on. But at the end of the day, an opportunity. For this season, came up with the Atlanta Hawks and settling in here with, what I can make an impact and where my value is here with a young and very talented team.
I'm fascinated by that last part, because we hear all the time about the idea of being a great teammate. And to me, at least, maybe I'm a little more stubborn, but it seems like that idea is easier than perhaps it is to execute. You've been around the league for so long. This situation with Trae Young, this young backcourt, this team that perhaps isn't winning as much as you would like so far. What does that value mean to someone like you with this squad right now?
Yeah, look, it's definitely a new journey here, not only for myself, but for this team, the Atlanta Hawks, a new system, a new coach. And there's definitely a big picture here with what we're trying to accomplish. Unfortunately, the progress that we're making isn't showing up in the wins and losses. But I think we're just continue to pound the rock and on being able to develop together as a group and focus on our strengths and what makes the team good. At the same time, trying to tidy up all the things that at the end of the day, guys are still learning, guys are still developing, and picking up things on the fly. So it is the life of the NBA. It's hard to win NBA games. It's definitely hard to win NBA games on the road. But at the end of the day, we're pounding the rock on what Coach Quinn is trying to give us, and it's just about keeping the morale up, keeping the guys' spirits up, and show up every game and compete.
Yeah, I think the competitive side of you, from the outside at least, is one of the many reasons why you've endeared yourself so much to Australian basketball fans. So for you, perhaps, I'm sure, not playing as much during the games as you would love. What does that look like for you over the last 12 months? Because I must admit, maybe from my selfish perspective, it's still jarring. I tune in and want to see you on the court.
Yeah, look, I guess there's new challenges that arise from time to time over the course of your career, and some of them, you enjoy and fun, and they're good, and others are very challenging, and you kind of find the joy in being able to overcome those challenges. So this for me is just one of those things, and I think I take joy in being able to, number one, see where my impact and my value comes the strongest to a group like this. Like you said, unfortunately, it's not on the court for a consistent time, but there's definitely times off the court, where I'm able to make that impact as a leader. And as a veteran that's been around for a long time. We do have a very young but talented team, and it's just about piecing the puzzle together. But at the end of the day, I think the Paris 2024 Olympics coming up with the Boomers has been something that's at the forefront of my mind during this time. So being able to gear up for that and shift my mentality into the things that I can do to prepare for another Olympics and what we're trying to accomplish there definitely helps me get through this season.
Yeah, I'm glad that you led me there, because I did mention that I caught up with Brian Goorjian. I know he went through and he did the tour with the Boomers over the last few weeks. He was in the US, and certainly from my perspective, as always, he was enthusiastic and excitable as ever, talking about the challenge that's ahead. So what are you two discussing when you get together, when you're purely talking about what the road looks like to Paris and once you get to the tournament?
Yeah, it's obviously great catch-ups every time with Gorge and his personality and, eager to be able to get better on a regular basis, I think is what makes him great. The way that he speaks so passionately about things that he loves, and he loves the Boomers. He loves this group. He loves the role that he's in, and it's such a great group of coaching staff and players to be around. We obviously had a very disappointing World Cup campaign, but when we left each other with the mindset that this is only half time and we're going to go our separate ways to our club teams for half-time break, and then we'll be back, a few months later. So I think this time where everyone goes, into their own teams is a good chance to focus on the things that they need to focus on, and then come back with that same hunger, that same nastiness, I guess, so to speak, to be able to, do something special at these Olympics. So the conversations with Gorge is obviously around the culture of the group, the group as well. And obviously, where we can take this program, this Boomers environment, and these young guys that are coming through. Obviously, Josh Giddey, Jock Landau, Dante Exum, Josh Green, so very talented and keen to represent the Boomers, the way that they have been, be able to take this program to hopefully new heights. So they've been in it for a few years now, and understanding what it means to be a Boomer. So handing this thing off to those guys to take the reins, I think is going to be very important for the future of our program.
Gorge has spoke himself about the idea that there was a lot of NBA players and it's clearly a lot of individual talent in Australia right now with this squad, but it's about blending this together to a team that fits on the court, and that's not something that can happen overnight. He's also referenced the idea that some of the key players for this team aren't playing at their clubs in the NBA as much as they would like. You're sort of in that mix. How much of a challenge is that? Is that something that we maybe speak about more than we should? And how did you find the experience leading into the World Cup?
Yeah, look, I think the deal is whenever you can play basketball games, the better it's always going to be, and I think that's ideal. I think today's game in the NBA and the way that it's played, the way that it's refed, the way that it's coached, the systems that are there. It's changed quite dramatically away from the FIBA game. So at the end of the day, ideally, you just want to play no matter what rules there are. But if you're comparing the NBA game to the FIBA game, it's actually quite a dramatic difference now. So, look, I think now guys are in situations where either not getting a lot of minutes, injuries, whatever it may be. But I think the most important thing, is that we can find that togetherness and be able to connect those things in such a short time when we do get together. It's always been the challenge, when you come into a Boomers campaign, is the very short preparation time that you get before, you roll the ball out for your first game. So there's no excuses there. But I think, having the mentality that this is, one whole campaign since we left for the World Cup, and this is only a halftime break. As long as that hunger and desire is still there to be able to accomplish something, very special for the Boomers at the Paris Olympics, that's the main point, I think.
Yeah, we were sitting in studio throughout the World Cup, and you were getting peppered with questions about the backcourt and what does it look like with Josh Giddey, and Dante Exum's playing a big role. Dyson Daniels, we know, was in the squad. What did you learn in the post-mortem of that when you went through and said, okay, this maybe was a slightly different role to what perhaps you had done? I'm not sure if you feel that way. What were the lessons that you took from introducing some of the new backcourt pieces?
Yeah, I think that it was definitely a different style that we were just trying to learn on the fly. And you talk about what makes a great professional, and it's all about the ability to adjust on the fly. And this is something that it felt like we just didn't have enough time to be able to hit our strides. And again, it's no excuses, but I think that's the mentality that we all had. The more reps that we have together, with essentially a new group, so to speak, I think the better it would be for us. But at the end of the day, I think there's things that we can control, as a group, especially on the defensive end, that can really fuel the fire to be able to run downhill. And that's where I think the majority of our strengths individually come into play. But then again, it's the FIBA game. It's a completely different game to the NBA and how physical it is, and the things that they don't let you get away with that they do in the NBA. So I think all of those factors, come into to play here. But at the end of the day, we want to be a very connected team, when everyone's got to do their part, if we want to be the last team standing on the top of that podium. And there's no question that that's our goal, and that's what we're trying to do. And it's going to take, everyone on the floor and everyone within that circle to be able to get it done.
You've mentioned halftime a few times, which is awesome to hear, because I think everyone's starting to get excited for the Paris Olympics. They're so close. Brian Goorjian is adamant that this is going to be the last major tournament he's going to have for the Boomers, and it almost feels hard to believe when you see how excited he is. I don't know what it means for you or how much you think about it for yourself and Joe Ingles. These guys are, for me, we've always watched the Boomers and we just expect you to be there. What kind of emotions do you have when you think about this Paris Olympics and what it could mean for you and then moving forward?
Yeah, obviously, Paris Olympics will be number 5 for both me and Joe. And I think the emotions start coming out when you understand the journey that we'd gone through with the Boomers for, the course of these Olympics, and how important the Boomers team and the Boomers program has meant to us. So I think we play with a lot of that heart and a lot of that passion and everything that we've been through on and off the court, and we want to empty that out. We want to, use that to be able to play with the passion that we have for our country. But yeah, look, Gorge is leaving it all out there, just as I know as everyone else. My emotions of playing for Australia at an Olympic Games is going to remain the same no matter what. But I think the most important thing here is this next generation of young, basketball Australian leaders, Josh Giddey, Dante Exum, Jock Landale, to take the reins of this Boomers culture and take it to new heights over the course of the next few Olympics and decades. I think is the most important part of our time here. So me and Joe have done what we think is the best for our program over the last couple of years, and now it's time to let them take this program as well. So very, very special time coming up for the 5th Olympics, and definitely going to enjoy it, definitely going to have fun and compete our backside off, that's for sure.
We're going to enjoy it as well, as we always have when you've played for Australia, Paddy. We really appreciate the time. I know it's crazy. The NBA season rolls on. You don't get too much time off. So thanks for spending some of it with us on Nothing But Net.
Cheers, mate. Thanks for having me.